I'd like to extend a heartfelt apology to all of you who have watched your portfolios go down as well. I was gone last week and Bitcoin rallied to a brand new all-time high, and I'm back and, well, Bitcoin's seeing a pullback, but there is opportunity. Today's theme is going to be, what dip are we buying? Which one's down the most? Which one is undervalued? Which one has more room to run? And which one maybe hasn't run yet that we're looking to buy for a massive run coming up? Bitcoin's currently sitting at 117.5K. It is officially crypto week. We have some news we're going to share on that end. We're going to talk a lot of altcoins, near protocol. Is one vertical enough to save ICP's price action? And what is that vertical? A big demo is happening, I believe, actually right now. We're going to talk about that with caffeine. Also, two of the world's largest banks that reside here in the United States are looking to get into the stablecoin game by proxy. Where can we make money as the bank center? We have that, and we got Magic Internet Money joining us. And I'm going to bring up what he said last week, and I hope he has a good answer for me. We got that and much, much more on today's episode of Sin City Crypto. Let's go.
Hola! It's your boy Big Rob back in the house. Welcome to Sin City Crypto, home of the entertainment-focused cryptocurrency content. We take old, boring, stale information and repackage that whole thing up in a fun and really entertaining kind of way. Well. David was gone. You were out of town.
No, I need to issue a second apology. First apology, pullback. Second apology, you're stuck with this guy for a week. I sincerely apologize. I'll try to make it not happen again. But what were you going to say?
I'm just... It's very interesting, the timing, right? You have... Second you leave to go out of town, we start breaking all-time highs. And then the second you come back, we pull back.
Yeah, you know, when you go out of town, the all-time highs don't break. The computers and everything breaks, and then we're stuck trying to figure it out, troubleshoot. But, yeah.
Viewer has no idea what you're talking about.
Exactly. But I'm excited to be back. A lot has happened over the last week. Shout out to Rob and all the guests that joined us for holding it down this past week. I had a great time. But I was glued to my phone, and I was glued to the news, and I was glued to the show because I want to know what's going on. But there's a lot to talk about. I was looking at, I was like, you know, maybe Polygon's rallied, but it hasn't. And so Pangu, but I will say that Rob was very admirable how he took defeat last week. And so I just want to applaud you for that, Robin. Yes. And, but I need to hear you say it in person. I was right? With the Pangu and Polygon?
It was what's going to perform better this year.
Yeah. You think
we're like 2 weeks in, okay? You're excited because a meme coin pumped, right?
I'm not excited because a meme coin pumped. That's not the point.
It's a meme coin. It pumped. It's been 2 weeks, and now you're excited.
Anyways, I guess we'll revisit this every week.
You know, if you were to ask me, like, hey, Rob, you know what has a better chance of 2xing in 1 week? Is it the meme coin or the project with sound fundamentals that has been around for years?
You want to take that bet too?
That's literally what...
Anyways, you know, Magic was on the show last week or 2 weeks ago, and we were talking about Jerome Powell, whether he hates Trump. Is that why now he's not cutting? And on the show, he's like, I'm going to send you some info, David, which he did. And the info he gave me was, look, inflation is actually creeping up. And, well, that's where we're going to start today. Take a look at this. Breaking, June CPI inflation rises to 2.7%, above expectations of 2.6%. Core CPI rises to 2.9, below expectations of 3.0. CPI inflation in the U.S. is now up for 2 straight months for the first time since January of 2025 this year. The Fed pause will continue. I don't have the tweet pulled up, but Donald Trump was out here telling Jerome Powell he needs to cut 300 basis points. 3% cut right now. Okay, yeah, that's not how it works, my friend. But anyways... Rob, are you worried with the CPI print today that Jerome Powell is just not going to cut interest rates anytime soon? We were expecting a July cut, which is July 30th. Are you thinking? What are you thinking here, man? Does this change what the Fed's going to do, or?
I honestly don't know, but I'll say that Jerome Powell is not swayed by Donald Trump's kind of attacks, right? And so that bears no weight on my kind of outlook. I just go with what the CPI, what the CME says. And so, if you look,
I actually have it pulled up right here. If you want to take a look, CME.
Yeah.
97.4% believe nothing.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
yeah.
And so if your thing is like, will they not cut? Like, well, it was already kind of the anticipation anyways, right?
Well, I believe the number was a lot lower for a pause, right? It wasn't, it was still high, but it wasn't 97.4. It was like, I don't know, 92 or something like that. Again, still high. But the interesting thing is Bitcoin has gone to $122,000 with 0 rate cuts. And realistically, we're looking at these numbers. Rusty Bot said in the chat, 0 rate cuts in 2025. I don't know about that. But imagine the fuel, the gasoline on the already burning embers of Bitcoin price action. It's a good thing. If that gasoline starts to get poured on with rate cuts, all that money in money market funds starts to move over. We're talking $7 to $8 trillion. That's with a T. That money is going to move into the markets. Where is it going to move? I'm not saying it's all going to move to Bitcoin or crypto, but by that time, assuming we already have a Bitcoin ETF, we have an ETH ETF, we'll probably have XRP, Hedera. What's the other one? The one that's close. I know Pengu has one. Sui has one. There's a bunch of other ones. Solana.
Wow.
Right? And so, what? Yeah, very excited about Solana. Okay. And so that money is ready to move over, and here are the shiny new toys. You can put that money in, Wall Street and all the money market fund people. And so, like we've said it over the last 6 months, while price action was slowly trending down, and everyone was bored, and everyone was calling for the market has topped, it's over, cash out. We were sitting here telling you, no, it's not. There's still a few more legs to go, and well, I think we just got one leg. And Bitcoin, the pullback, how long will it last? I don't know. I do have some Bitcoin metrics I do want to show. This was posted by Bitcoin Archive. Bitcoin's MVRV Z-score is still well below historical top levels. Plenty of room to run. And I'm going to click on this chart, and I'm going to zoom out here a little bit. You want to pay attention to the orange, okay? When we get into the +9 or above, you can see that red shaded area on top. That is overheating, and that usually coincides with cycle tops. As you can see here in 2018, right? This is not interactive, so I can't, highlight or anything. Market top literally the same day where the MVRV score was at what, 11? Second, this is the first top. We got to about an 8 on the MVRV and the first top for 2021, and then we had another leg up. Didn't quite get there on the MVRV, but we take a look here now. We are still sitting at a 3. So we got a lot of room to run. And so for those that are still saying Bitcoin's top is in, you don't think Bitcoin's top is in, right?
Nah.
No. Okay. Me neither. So for those saying Bitcoin top is in, here's just one metric, one chart that you can see and take a look at to show you that, hey, there's still a lot of room left to run. And then you're starting to see posts like this. This is Steve, Millionaire Habits. Never heard of this guy, but he's got a pretty big following. Can't believe I'm saying this because I'm not a Bitcoin guy, but I've decided to invest $1,000 a month into Bitcoin for the foreseeable future. Great diversification. And so long as Trump's in office, I don't see any major downsides to crypto-based investments. To which Jake Klaver said, probably the worst time to begin doing this. And then the guy says, why is that? And then he talks about this is a cycle top, might have 10% left. You should DCA at the bottom. I don't know. I don't want to take shots at Jake. I would call him a friend of the channel. But I disagree with Jake, right? I mean, the whole point of a dollar cost averaging is to do it no matter what the price is, correct?
Yeah, if you're gonna have a DCA strategy, you can't really be concerned at when you decide to start. It really makes no difference, right?
Yeah.
And you can look no further than El Salvador. They didn't buy the top because I think their first buy was in the $20-something thousand range on Bitcoin. But a lot of people were saying, like, because they kept buying large amounts of Bitcoin. Eventually, they settled in on buy 1 Bitcoin a day. But there was always a lot of pressure towards the policies that El Salvador put in, and because people were always like, hey, you know what, you bought the top, and they gave a lot of flack to Nayib Bukele, the president there. And well, now the country's sitting in a massive unrealized profit as well. So if you DCA over a long enough time horizon, it realistically makes no difference when you start. You can always say, hey, I could have timed it a little bit better, but would you be upset if you started DCAing into Bitcoin when it was $450? Or would you be kicking yourself in the butt for DCAing into Bitcoin when it was $1,000? That was a 2014 cycle. So 2013, it was 450. 2014 was 1,000. So
let's say you DCA'd in at the day the Bitcoin topped in 2021 at 69,000. You're up almost at 2x.
Or what about last cycle? Let's just say you started DCAing into Bitcoin when it was 60,000. You're still.
Literally just said that.
I missed that part. Yeah. So, so same thing. It's like even if it's the top, which me and David both agree it's not. Now anything's possible. It could be. We are seeing new investors come in. There's new dynamics at play right now as far as the economy, and gold's acting in a way that we haven't seen in a while. So it could very well be the top. I won't dismiss it as an impossibility. I just think it's highly unlikely. I'd put it at less than 5% for myself personally. But I mean, anything can happen. You could have some kind of geopolitical situation. Satoshi's wallet could move. There's plenty of things that could happen. You could have mismanagement, lost keys by one of the giant wallets.
Can you imagine if Satoshi's wallet moved?
I mean, it's always been like a thought experiment for people. They always doom and gloom talk about it, but at the same time, it doesn't really change the dynamics of Bitcoin. It doesn't mess with the security. Just a large supply. I mean,
kind of does change the dynamic, not the security, not on the protocol level.
I mean, it would have a
narrative level.
Narrative level. It would also impact price on the short term.
Yeah, narrative drives price more than utility in crypto for the time being.
Let's just say it did wake up, right? What are you the most scared of? It's selling? Because at this point, BlackRock is pretty close in comparison to the wallet size. So let's just say there was a change in administration and the SEC said, hey, you know what? We got to close all the ETFs. And I know it's almost an impossibility, but if something like that were to happen, you would have to sell all of that Bitcoin, which is over 700,000 Bitcoin. That in itself wouldn't be a detriment to the Bitcoin network. Now it would be a detriment to the narrative, and the markets would get spooked. Probably send us into a bear market, or at least a mini bear market, or a massive pullback. But it's not anything Bitcoin wouldn't recover from. So the same thing could be said for Satoshi. Is basically where I'm getting at there.
I don't know. I think if that scenario were to ever happen with like BlackRock, we should by then, if it happens, have in-kind redemptions to which they wouldn't have to liquidate all of it. People can request it back via their actual Bitcoin. I do want to share this though. Did you see this from UD Wertheimer, right? Founder of Taproot Wizards, Ordinals. He published a pretty long article, and it was titled, "This Bitcoin Thesis Will Retire Your Bloodline." Okay. Now, I read this entire thing. He compares this Bitcoin cycle and price action to what Doge went through in the last cycle, where it went from like 0.005 cents, so half of 1 penny, all the way up to 70 cents, and the dynamic of the retail investor and really the whales that were buying Doge. It was kind of the same scenario, and you keep hearing all these people are buying and institutions are buying. Well, not Doge institutions, but with Bitcoin, institutions are buying, but the price kept being held down. Well, why? It's because a lot of the old whales, right? We just saw someone move, I think, 40,000 Bitcoin worth around $2.2 billion. They moved 20,000 of that to Galaxy Digital, assuming if you're going to move it out of cold storage, you're probably going to sell it. Now that is going to be OTC. And so that's why we talk about OTC desks. It'll never go to zero, right? There will always be sellers. But he talks about how when everyone thought that first rally for Doge was from half a penny up to, I think, 15 or 20 cents, everyone thought that was the top because there's no more buyers. Well, what ended up happening is it recycled into a new big push-up, and the new retail investors who had no idea about the whales or their price wasn't anchored in half a penny, it was anchored in 20 cents, started to heavily buy, and then Doge had that massive rally from, I think, 9 cents to 70 cents to complete that. I don't know what the X's are, from half a penny to 70 cents. I don't know if you do quick math in your head, but he compared that to what's happening with Bitcoin now. So just interesting thoughts. If you have maybe 5 to 10 minutes, interesting thesis in there. So I'd recommend you go read it on UD's X handle. And with that being said, we do have our guest Magic joining us right now. I see my boys flashing them guns. What's up, Magic?
Trying to show you the shirt. It's Nakamoto for president. There we go.
Are you calling on Trump impeachment?
I would love to see that. If he goes, Satoshi comes out of the shadows, takes over the U.S., why not?
Just don't touch the wallet, right?
That's right. Leave it alone.
Magic, glad to have you here, my friend. I do want to start with BTC. A lot of people are saying 122 was a top. I don't. It's just funny. It's Bitcoin rallies and has a small pullback, and then everyone's already calling for the bull market to be over. And then real quick, do you follow UD from Ordinals, the post I just shared before you came on?
I don't.
No, okay, never mind. I was going to ask you if you read the article. But anyways, BTC Magic, what are you seeing? How deep can this pullback go? I was looking at the chart yesterday. I did put in a limit order at 113.319. I believe I pulled the fibs on the move from 108 to 122, and that was right where that 618/gold pocket was for me, at least. What are you seeing? How deep can this pullback go if it continues? And what's your overall thesis on what we've seen over the last 7 days?
Sure. Yeah, pretty easy to go over. Is my screen blurry? It's really blurry on my end when I look at your guys' backstage stuff, right?
No, you look good.
All right, cool. Thank you.
Yep.
So 122 is actually a pretty big level. It's one of those things where, if you guys recall, I've had this zone mapped out
actually.
as a cycle. Yeah,
you have
101 to 124. I've been talking about it a long time, and it's a very important thing to look at. And the reason being is we'll go to a clean chart so you guys can kind of actually, we can do it on this one. How you get that zone is it's convergence of fib levels and also just standard deviations that are expanded upon. But in reality, all we've done is measured the 69K high here down to the 15K low. You can do it with a channel, or you can do it with a fib tool, whichever one you really prefer. I like to do a channel because it's just nice and clean. You're just going to measure that move, and then you're going to say, okay, this is my EQ and my tops and bottoms, right? So let's extend that to the right. And then I want to see this -1. And the reason I want to see the -1 is it's 100% expansion in a linear scale to the upside. So it's going to show us an identical move from this move down above that 69K high. So that's where you get this 200 expansion. And that's where you're finding resistance right now, which makes perfect sense, because as things expand, they have to expand at certain rates. If we get too far away from an average, it generally will come back to earth. So that's just where we're at. It doesn't mean it's the end of the move. For that to really happen, you have to see a lot of different things. So to give people some really high time frame invalidations here, on this, where you'll see me flip around pretty quickly on being bullish. Let's get rid of this. It's going to come down to the Q1 high and a 2024 high here, these two big white lines. And I'll go ahead and get rid of these halving pivots as well. And you can see I've got the previous month low. I'm just going to leave it there for now. So if you were looking at things through the lens of the weekly, this could dip substantially. A closure below 109,898 on a weekly basis would get me concerned. But more so on a monthly basis, giving up 108,450. So the idea that the top is in based on this small pullback is pretty unlikely as of right now. Your big first area of warning shot is going to be that R2 that we did talk about in the last episode last week. That is right about 114, and it's more of a zone. I actually have a box for it, as always. There's always a box.
Magic, real quick. Can you put a percentage on what's the likelihood of the top being in percentage wise?
I would say it's less probable, so under 50%. We
Okay.
don't have any sign of weakness. There's no real reason to assume that this is a top. Now, if you lose this little box right here, yeah, I mean, that percentage goes up more. But it is one of those things where, again, that's your first sign of weakness, and you don't have any weakness in this chart. So there's really no reason to panic. Weakness comes below where we're at now, which is kind of the area we were hoping to bid. And it front ran me by about $100 on Blowfin. So of course it did, but I am expecting it to potentially come back down and take this low into the weekly pivot. And that would also be where the bi-weekly pivot will generate at the end of the week, you see in this region. So looking to maybe get a tap of this low at some point. But overall, there's no reason to take a bear stance right now and say that the cycle's over. I called it. That opportunity for people was all the way back here. That was
Your time is up, man. Your time is up.
Yeah, well, not back here. Actually, it's even further. The reason I say that is because we got that dip into that 70K zone. This whole dip right here into the yearly pivots, the PP zone, if you guys recall, for the bi-yearly or the bi-quarterly and the yearly pivot being in this zone, that was the region we needed to see tested. It held as support. So if you were going to be bearish, once this reclaimed about 87.7, there was, you're kind of just going against the trend now. So nothing to really worry about. In the short term, 115 to 113 needs to hold. Medium terms like weeklies and monthlies, you want to see that 108 to 109 levels holding. And if that does, I expect to see 130. And then overall, if we continue to hold this, we touched on it last week and I moved there it is, the R2. I need the standard right here. If we get above this, I do expect to see a challenge into like the 150 to 170 region. If we can legitimately hold this level and consolidate above it, going back in history, this has been probably the most important expansion level for Bitcoin. We'll go to the BLX and then I'll jump off this because I know I tend to ramble on you guys. And luckily it's already up. So the R2 is kind of like your last major pullback before you get expansion into like your mania phase, which was right here. And this is all post halving, of course. So you get your big pullback here. You're at the R2 standard deviation. As we talked about last week, we would actually expect us to probably blow through this level, but eventually back test it, which we're starting to see now. Get your back test. There's your top. Same thing happened over here. We blew through the R2. There we are on the back test. Here's our top. Okay, so now we are into where we are now. And we've got all the levels up for some reason on this one. But this is your R2 right here. Let me get rid of and I've got these guys up. I just want to clean it up because it's just easier when it's only one set of data points instead of all of them. So I think we were looking at them for convergence levels. So let's see. Yeah, R2 right here. So yeah, a 114, you can see we've blown through the level. If we get a back test of it, just like we've seen historically, we want to see that hold. And that's where you get kind of your blow off top mania phase into that last, quarter or whatever it may be. So yeah, I mean, that's Bitcoin in a nutshell. Very simple. You're at support. I'm hoping to maybe get one more dip. But the big thing is if you're looking for, how do I know if we're going to get that dip or not? The weekly open. Okay. So if you get back above the weekly open and you're living above this, there's really no sense in being bearish because that's right on the previous week high as well. And you'll probably try to attempt to re-challenge this high or make a new one at that point. So
awesome. Magic, Cardano's got a pretty big event coming up. I believe it's this week. I could be wrong, with the midnight airdrop. And to claim this airdrop, which by the way, I'm going to be doing a video on this. You have to head over to Cardano land and create a wallet and then mint the tokens that way or claim your tokens that way. And so I'm not saying it's going to cause the price to go up, but looking at ADA's price, it's been lagging relative to like Hedera, XLM, XRP, which is up, what is XRP up on the 7 day? 27%. And Cardano up 26. So not too far off, up 26% on the 7 day, 20% on the 90 day. What are you seeing on the Cardano chart here, Magic? And
yeah, sure. This is the key level to hold for SEC from a long time ago, if you recall. It was a monthly low right here from March. So we did end up giving this up. But what we talked about last time we covered it was that, you are failing to get that push down to these lower levels and fulfill this. And so the big takeaway was that last month, these two lows are actually identical. They come in at, what is that, 51.2 cents, 51.2 cents. And then this one right here came in at 51.1, taking all of these guys out. And then we said, if you can recover the 23 high, that we would expect this to run back to 94.5 cents. So you've since done that. This is one of those setups where the bearish case was certainly there. However, the sellers did not have what it took to push it lower. So you are seeing consolidation at support, and that support is holding up. You don't have the closures and the follow through. So you can't fight that and just expect that you're going to see these lower values. And so on this one, I'm still expecting to see probably closer to 94 cents. And that's a really important level for Cardano. Historically speaking, above 94 cents, even on the monthly here, you can see very, very important. It's from when it launched, basically, that was the level that we've had marked out. And anytime we're above that level, like living above it, you can challenge into that $1.30 plus, maybe even new all-time high level. So that's what I'm looking at on Cardano. The setup was there. You were trying to find support. You certainly did. And as you started reclaiming these levels, it's probably going to get that push now, assuming it can close. Let's say it doesn't make the push immediately, which I would anticipate it probably tries to. But if you're going to get a failure, it would be right here off of this high at 74.5 cents. So if it closed the monthly below 74.5, I probably wouldn't be too excited about it. But that's 2 weeks away, and I think that it'll probably push and at least take this high around 86 cents first.
Awesome. And then Magic, one of the biggest gainers on the 7-day is Hedera, number 6, 44%. It's at 23.26 cents. What are you seeing on the H-bar chart? And what are your downside targets if we do see a pullback deeper than its current 2%?
Sure. Let me find H-bar. This is one we actually proper cooked on your guys' channel a long time ago. And I don't think I've updated the chart, but I haven't looked at it too extensively. But I don't think we need to, if I'm being honest with you. I think it's a lot like XLM, where the levels are so well defined that we can just continue to use them. If I could find my H-bar chart, holy moly. This is what happens when you do chart requests. You get all of these. And I can't remember if it's Binance or what. I need to just, there it is.
Yeah,
there we go.
Yeah, I have the same issue.
Okay, so we had 2 boxes on our chart, if you recall. This was our resistance, which you can see we did get a rejection. I remember when this candle happened back in March, you guys asked me what I thought if we were going to break out to all-time highs. I said this is technically a short. It's a gold pocket retest of major resistance. We're looking along this box down here, which is filled out to the T. So I'm expecting to see 29 to 30 cents again. And if it gets back into this box and is living here, like closing up here on like a monthly basis and trying to set up shop, this thing's going to try to make a push for an all-time high probably. At least take these highs into 45 cents. So for now, it's still just range bound. You're range bound between somewhere between 12.5 and 15 cents as support, and resistance is right around 30 cents flat. And if you get above 30 cents, I think that's where you can really have a conversation about making a new high on this chart. And how high it goes after that, we'll have to see where we are in the market and do a little more work on the chart. But it's certainly not out of the question once you're above 30 cents. So H-bar looks fine. It was just a matter of patience for most people. So I'm tinkering. No, it's not going to work because that is not a good B point there. So yeah, I mean, I like H-bar here. If you were just trading this as a range, I think we mentioned this last time that, while alts kind of have not been that great this cycle, even if you went conservative and you just, traded from this highest value to the lowest value, this is like 100% range, 87% on the low end. So, I mean, you're talking about major swings. You only made 87% over the course of 1, 2, 3, 4 months. And that sounds terrible, but that's actually a pretty good return if you think about it. You don't have to do that a lot to make some pretty substantial moves in this market in terms of like portfolio growth.
Awesome. And then Magic, before I let you go, I remember 2 weeks ago, we were talking about CPI and Jerome Powell hating, Trump. That's why he's not cutting. CPI numbers came out today. Headline is up, core is down. But, we're having that discussion. And so thanks for sending me that info a couple of weeks ago. And I don't know.
It's standard. Yeah, it's just the projections. And you have to understand that I don't think he's doing anything political. And I think that it's a weird narrative that we're all pushing. But in reality, all he's doing is looking at things. And when you look at things through the lens of Trump, none of us know what he's going to do tariff-wise. So the Fed is probably going to respond pretty conservatively in terms of what they do. That's just what it is. But I do think that in September, they're going to seriously consider a rate cut. And, I just don't think it's appropriate for us to throw him under the bus because he didn't want to bend the knee to Trump and just cut rates because Trump wanted it to.
Trump wanted
it is what
Trump
it is.
wanted a 300 basis point rate cut.
That's wild, man. That is wild.
Yeah, that's pretty insane. I don't like that idea at all.
Maybe he wanted him to meet him in the middle or something. Who knows? Got to get him. Art of the deal. Got to get him to the table.
This is how you get him done, guys. You shoot high, aim low. Okay, Magic. One more thing before I let you go. I have a poll up. Will Bitcoin be above 120K again by tomorrow? Yes or no? Real quick.
I think that in the next week it needs to be up around 120. So if we're going to get continuation in the short term, I think we'll be at 120 in about a week.
No, Magic. The question was tomorrow. Okay.
Oh, tomorrow? No, not tomorrow, but maybe in a couple days.
Yeah, man. I think the ETFs are going to crush yesterday's numbers. In fact, I'm going to pull it up in a second. We saw Eric Balchunas, the senior ETF analyst at Bloomberg, say the start of the week, BlackRock's, and I don't know if Rob shared this yesterday, but BlackRock's ETF numbers, the volume traded, was top 3, and it was only behind the Triple Q and the SPY. That's it.
I saw something about that.
Yeah.
I don't pay attention to that stuff. That's awesome.
You shared that yesterday, right?
Yeah. Well, then also you got the Triple Q, the SPY, and then also you got the EVM ribbons, the cloud. Also, there's here. Just pull up my screen. It's so if you just aggregate all the data you can find, and it just tells me it's up and to the right for sure. Very methodical. Charting here
that probably looks like one of your coloring books from when you were 6.
This is
better than anything I've ever done.
You got to really pay attention here, man. It's screaming at you, all the indicators.
Thanks for the analysis, Robin. Amazing input there. Magic, thank you for joining us, man. It's always a pleasure to have you on, brother, and we look forward to having you again next week.
Thanks, guys. We'll see you next week.
All right. So, do you see Grok? Grok got a companion?
The Grok girlfriend for all the people that don't leave their house.
This thing is straight. Just like, what are we doing here, guys? I mean, I've heard of a companion, but yeah, this is some Vegas stuff right here. And so, what better way to keep people on your platform, Grok, than that? And then also, big news.
It seemed like it got your attention.
Robotaxi network expanded, and it costs $6 and $6.90 per ride. And so, interesting format there. To which Elon reposted and said, "Yep, this is true." And so, Rob, are you excited to be traveling through Austin here? No, you were planning a trip there? No. Okay. All right. Well, guys, it is Crypto Week, officially Crypto Week, and President Trump is out here. This was his post. Happy Crypto Week. The House will soon vote on a tremendous bill to make America the undisputed #1 leader in digital assets. Nobody does it better.
Undisputed champion of all crypto internationally and here abroad.
Here abroad is not. Such an idiot. The Genius Act is going to put our great nation light years ahead of China, Europe, and all others who are trying to endlessly catch up, but they just can't do it. Digital assets are the future, and we are leading by a lot. Get the first vote done this afternoon. All Republicans should vote yes. This is our moment. Digital assets, genius, clarity. It's all part of making America great again, bigger and better than ever before. We are leading the world, and we will work hard with the Senate and the House to get even more legislation on this passed. Then we had Mr. Tom Emmer. This is what he had to say this morning.
This week, we are delivering on President Trump's promise to make America the crypto capital of the world. For too long, digital asset innovation in this country has been stifled by ambiguous rules, instability, and the Biden administration's anti-crypto crusade. Now we have the opportunity to pass a comprehensive, nonpartisan digital asset legislation that will unlock the next era of American innovation, protect consumers, and strengthen the U.S. dollar. Where ambiguity and unclear jurisdiction have stifled blockchain innovation, the Clarity Act will create a much-needed regulatory framework for the digital asset marketplace. Doing this not only gives builders and firms the rules of the road, it also ensures consumers are protected against fraud and bad actors. And the Senate's Genius Act will peg stablecoins to a stable currency, like the U.S. dollar, opening the door for the United States to lead the world in digital finance.
Such a stable dollar. Insane. We also had this from Ted Pillows. I wonder if that's his actual last name. Anyways, ETH pumps if the Genius Act passes this week, or it may bring trillions in stablecoins or Ethereum. Polymarket gives it a 95% chance of passing. Big banks will be cleared to use ETH. 3 key crypto bills during the U.S. House Crypto Week are the Clarity Act. Defines crypto as securities or commodities. Think Ripple versus SEC, but with clear rules. Number 2, the Genius Act, which has passed the Senate on June 18th, requires 1-to-1 stablecoin backing, demands federal registration and AML compliance. Key House vote expected this week. And the last one, excuse me, is Anti-CBDC Surveillance State Act, which I know Rob shared this one. Elizabeth Warren and some of the Democrats are looking to block this bill. And so we have that as well. Crypto Week. Rob, are you excited for Crypto Week?
So excited. Now, it's underreported, underappreciated, and I think the biggest takeaway for me on Crypto Week is if you usher in basically a framework for stablecoins, and we encourage, banks to get into the stablecoin game, you're going to see a massive amount of money flow into the U.S. Now, you can say, hey, I don't want the U.S. banks into stablecoins, but hey, you know what? I think we flashed a signal that this is coming, whether you like it or not. Yesterday, you had the Federal Reserve come out and along with, I think it was the SEC, or it was the Federal Reserve and one other agency, came out and just affirmed to the banking sector that, hey, you are allowed to custody crypto. And we're also seeing that internationally. We're also seeing institution-grade trading coming to banks as well. And so stablecoins are the lifeblood of crypto, particularly everything outside of Bitcoin. So you watching, if you have an altcoin portfolio, like I'm assuming you do, you're probably waiting for altcoin season to pump. Well, where do stablecoins go? You don't buy Bitcoin with stablecoins, and you don't use stablecoins on the Bitcoin network. Now, there are some instances where you can use some kind of bridge or situation where stablecoins, but realistically, stablecoins find their way over to the altcoin season. And that's what fuels it. That's the greatest measure. And so the engine is powered by stablecoins. And if we get a bunch more stablecoins, we get regulation basically encouraging more and more money to flow into stablecoins. More and more money is going to flow into the altcoin market. And so we started seeing this little rally in the last week or so. And this is off of the back of Ethereum. Now, I talked about it. I think Ethereum's price is mismatched. And this is on the 24 hours, right? So you see that Bitcoin pulled back. You know, it went from that 120 range and it pulled back down to 117. But here we had an interesting reversal. So Bitcoin has not reversed back to the upside since yesterday, but ETH has. Now, I know this is just on the 24 hours, so it's to be seen if this will continue. But this is a trend. Like, look back at the 7 days here. So Bitcoin started out, is outperforming Bitcoin on the week. Look at the month here. You can see that we have reversed. So it is a short-term reversal, but at some point, altcoin seasons are going to take off. And I think that it is going to start with ETH. Now, will ETH outperform people's expectations? Will you see that $10,000 Ethereum, $12,000 Ethereum? That I'm not quite too sure of, but I do think that currently at $3,000, ETH is undervalued. Also, if you look at the biggest gainers today, there's a lot of ETH plays in here. And so I'm not sure if you could call, say, a ETH play. It is EVM compatible, so has a very direct correlation to Ethereum. But if we go down the list here, you got Arbitrum, Optimism.
You skipped the biggest one, Curve.
Curve, excuse me. You got Curve DAO, biggest play there. But Arbitrum and Optimism up both 5%, up 25% on the week. So you're seeing a pullback in Bitcoin, but you're seeing a rally in Ethereum. And I mean, you see ETH here at number 23 on the gainer. I mean, it's still up 3% while Bitcoin is down on the 24 hours. And then you got some other ETH projects, ETH name service. You got Pepe in here. You got some meme coin plays. So Avi as well, of course. So keeping a close eye on ETH. I think that an ETH rally is ETH rally. I think it's just started. I truly believe that. I think the mismatch on price. I think ETH should be valued around $5,000 to $6,000, and I think it's going to make up some major ground here as well. So,
wow,
yeah,
you just went to ETH without me bringing it up first. Very proud of you.
That's right.
Yeah, we got 185. What's AED?
Yeah, it's a meme coin.
No. What's AED? Is that what currency is that? Australian dollars? No, that's AUD.
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah. I don't know. Just want to make sure it's not some BS meme. So I'll check it out. And if it's legit, then I'll talk about it tomorrow. Okay, you know what is legit, though? Well, let's look at this news. Fort Worth becomes the first American city to mine Bitcoin. They now have 3 Bitcoin mines in this running in the city hall 24 hours a day. Take a look at this from a local news channel.
The city of Fort Worth is jumping into cryptocurrency and doing it in a big way.
Yeah, they're going to mine for Bitcoin at City Hall, the first for an American city. Mayor Maddie Parker says this is a commitment to a high-tech future for the city of Fort Worth. And Fox 4's Mason Jenkins joins us now, and you've got the pluses and the minuses and all things crypto from Fort Worth. Macy.
Absolutely. Heather and Steve learned a lot about crypto and Bitcoin today. Fort Worth, of course, getting a lot of attention after announcing that they will have 3 Bitcoin machines running in City Hall.
Bitcoin machines.
24 hours a day for the next 6 months. Like you said, Mayor Maddie Parker says that these machines mark the city's commitment to becoming a leading hub for technology and innovation.
Officially mining Bitcoin in the city of Fort Worth.
It's pretty cool. Any thoughts on this? Do you think more states or cities will follow suit?
It's a PR move, man. Which is good. It's a good start.
They have 3 machines.
Yeah.
How many machines do you have? 0.
I got one in the back that's not hooked up.
Like 2010.
No, yeah, it's a good move, and you know, hopefully they start hooking more up. I'm always in the idea, like, if you're gonna like make a announcement and have it on air, and then say like, hey, and then do a whole PR thing, like, buy more than 3 machines, man. You're making like $10 a month on each one.
So what, man? It's
Hey, you know what? Hey, bring in that $30 a month. You know, pick up the Starbucks for the person that. Yeah, never mind.
Yeah, I don't get it. Okay, this is a pretty big piece of news. Well, not surprising, but still, the Department of Justice has officially closed its investigation into Poly Market. And so we saw this happen with a bunch of the presidents. Gary left us when he left. Just like Jay Clayton when he left in 2020, left us coal under the Christmas tree of XRP holders. Gary did the same thing. They went on a rampage serving Wells notices, and some of them even lawsuits. And so a lot of them have been dropped, and well, here, Poly Market was dropped as well. Let's get into altcoins. And again, I said the theme is going to be, are you buying the dip? Let's take a look at the first piece of news here. Pengu becomes the 2nd largest Solana meme coin and the 5th largest meme coin in market cap in the world. It is still not above Bonk. Close. It's only like 60 million away. But when you look at overall meme coins, Pengu is at number 5. Only behind Doge, SHIB, Pepe, and Bonk. And so when you look at Pengu, still the top gainer in the 24-hour, man. It's just, I mean, look at the 7-day. Look at the 90-day. 662%. Is this one where you're looking for a dip buying opportunity here, Rob? Because it's only at 2 billion market cap. We saw SHIB go to 44. Is this one that you are looking and eyeing maybe a 10 to 15% dip to buy?
I'm not. I'm not buying.
No.
Okay.
I think this thing could go to 10 billion market cap.
I'm not interested in buying meme coins in the top 100 at this point in the cycle. And just if I'm gonna say, hey, you know what, let me buy some meme coins, I'm gonna go way down the list. I'm gonna go something new. I'm gonna try to grab something before it blows up. Usually those, go to zero, but that's my strategy there. If I'm gonna get into meme coins, it'd probably just be Doge. I think Doge is massively undervalued currently. We've seen some good movement out of Bonk. I don't know. Going down the list, the return at the current moment, I think is, I would be happier positioned into my favorite layer ones than I would in a major alt right now, or major meme coin at the moment. And so not interested in that one.
I am interested. I'm buying the dip. Okay, second altcoin news. This is from Dominic Williams, the chief scientist over at Dfinity, aka ICP. Self-writing internet. 1, app creation is natural language conversation. 2, apps update without risk to backend data. And 3, apps are secure and resilient and sovereign. And I believe, I'm going to click on Dom's page. They should be doing I thought they were going to be posting, let's look at this, Caffeine AI. Oh yeah, they are live. Let's check in. I believe they're doing a demo right now, or at least they're speaking. Let's just check in for a quick second.
Ever actually can create that kind of product, it can really empower the so-called solo unicorn. So you probably heard there was a team from Israel for 3 months, right? So
Reactions to the video.
So that's, we'll see that kind of thing. And look,
Anyways, we're not going to watch this whole thing, but go to Caffeine AI. If you're interested in watching this live stream, go to Caffeine AI. And then on X here, I'll just make this bigger so you guys can see. Caffeine AI. And you can see. But my question to you, Rob, is when you look at Internet Computer Protocol, let's just pull it up. Okay. ICP.
I was looking at their chart yesterday. They're just on the 1 year. That's pretty ugly, dude. It hasn't. Now you can make an argument. Maybe it's a great time to get in. It's just down and out. It was at $15 at the beginning of the year, or somewhere around there, and then it hasn't really done anything since January. And so it's been a long ride down, and so it has a little bit of a breakout, but I think that's just kind of all the altcoins right now. And so will it outperform Bitcoin at this moment? Will it outperform Ethereum? Will it outperform Cardano? That's where my concern is. I haven't seen any big headlines out of them. Have you?
Caffeine is pretty big.
Is it big enough? I get it. It's there's things going on there. It's just it's not catching on. It's not catching buzz. It's not like lighting up X spaces. It's not like
users, man.
That's my point is that if caffeine's the biggest thing you got, and it's really not stirring up a lot of conversation, at least not through my channels. It's there. I'm not saying it's like dead chain or anything, but the community just isn't. They're not onboarding lots of new users. Put it that way. There's not a surge of people coming in, and that could also be said for. And I still love ICP. I have ICP. I have not sold my position, but there are a few chains that I like or love that I'm kind of keeping an eye on. Like, hey, are you going to do something? Because I'm not interested in riding a whole bull market down. And imagine if you would have had XRP last bull market at 50 cents when the bull market started. And then you just watched everybody make stupid money. And then you still had XRP at 50 cents the whole bull market. You missed out. Not saying XRP is a bad product. It wasn't, obviously it's 5x since then. But from a 2021 bull market perspective, you would have missed out on a lot of potential money. You, the viewer, if you were around in 2021, I'm pretty sure that you made some money. You probably lost some too at the back end, round tripping stuff. But you probably made a lot of money. I did. I made a crap ton of money last bull market. And it wasn't through XRP. It was through a lot of projects that rallied, that performed well in that bull market. So projects like ICP and Avalanche, I'm keeping an eye on. They are my favorites, just like XRP was one of my favorites. But if it looks like the market's not gonna rally in those particular chains, then you know what? I gotta make my money, bro. Because there's a lot of money to be made here this bull market, and so don't miss out because you're married to one project and you refuse to move laterally or sell some position to take advantage of the bull market.
You know, Bone Thugs and Harmony said it the best. For the love of money, gotta make the money. That was a great song. I did end the poll. Will Bitcoin be above 120K again by tomorrow? 59% of you said yes. 40% of you say no. I'm in the yes column. Rob, which column are you in?
120
by tomorrow.
By tomorrow?
Yeah.
No.
You're not. You're in the no column.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
I think it rallies Saturday, Sunday. And I think the breakout. I think the breakout is above 125 on Saturday, Sunday.
Okay. So ICP, are you buying the dip?
No,
I'm not either. I have some ICP, not buying the dip. I did put out a Patreon post, and so you guys know my ICP strategy. So yeah.
You know, I did mention Avalanche. You know, Avalanche. I think very similar chart. You look here, Avalanche. It's damn near identical, and that's kind of why I lumped the two together in the same conversations. However, Avalanche, it's also, this is on the 24 hours. So nice, healthy breakout against Bitcoin here. It's up 2% on the day. I know that's not a lot, but when you take into account that Bitcoin's down 2%, it could be an indicator of what's to come. Also, activity and transactions, and it's rallying on Avalanche. Also, seems to be a little bit more buzz in Avalanche than, say, the likes of ICP. I'm starting to see a lot more headlines, a lot more community getting behind Avalanche and what's going on there. So still keeping a cautious eye. I'm not buying any more Avalanche at current prices, but yeah, you got some Avalanche info there?
Bro, I mean, daily active addresses, moonshot. Monthly active addresses, moonshot. Total transactions, moonshot. Unique addresses, moonshot. I mean, you're seeing things happen.
And ETF is coming out. And the United States government is pretty bullish on Avalanche. I've heard a lot of prominent figures in political positions that have mentioned Avalanche. And so I've heard a lot more in that out of Avalanche than I have in ICP. Have you ever heard of anybody in Congress or any political position talk about ICP at all?
No.
Yeah, but you do have, ETF and interest from institutions and lawmakers for projects like Cardano, Hedera, Avalanche. Those have been buzzwords that have been circling around Washington, D.C. And so I think from my perspective, I think that Avalanche is going to break out here. So yeah,
I mean, look at this.
I'm eyeing that.
Daily active addresses, right? Index for all layer ones on the platform. June 21st, 666,000. Okay, so just above 500,000. And then July 10th, 17.2 million. So there's a mismatch between price and what's actually happening under the hood. And we saw XLM run, we saw Hedera run, huge. XLM 2x in what, a week? Avalanche is going to have its day. So that's a dip I'm buying. I know that's a dip you're buying. Let's move on to Near Protocol. Token C. Oh, let me ask you this just real quick before I move on to Near. On ICP, is AI enough to save ICP and get it to I won't even bring up the all-time high, which is either $60 or $600. I'll just say the current cycle high, which is $22.
Let me ask you, you said is DEX enough is decentralized finance enough to bring up a chain? Is RWA is enough to bring up a project? It's not so much what particular category or vertical a blockchain is like focusing on. Whatever they're focusing on needs adoption. That's it. If you're store of value, like Caspa, like, okay, cool, that's your thing, but are people using it as a store of value? Are people coming in and saying, like, look, you know what? I want to take my paycheck and protect against inflation, and I just believe that over time this will get more and more adopted. If that's the thing, then go for it. But if you believe that that sector is going to pump it, right? Like if they're going to have success in it. And so if ICP is focusing on AI, okay, cool, awesome, that's your brand thing or whatever, but it needs adoption. And so it doesn't matter what vertical they're looking at, that particular vertical or that just needs adoption. You can swap the focus on, just like Avalanche focused on gaming, right? That was kind of like their big thing, but now they're focusing on other things, which is cool. Like, whatever you're focusing on, that's the one that needs to get adoption. So to answer your question, it doesn't matter if they're focusing on AI. If people aren't adopting it, if people aren't saying like, hey, like if you don't get that verticals protocol or virtuals protocol kind of buzz, like where people are downloading it, using it, you're tweeting about it, saying like, hey, like this, and this ecosystem's badass, like try this out, look what this AI agent did. Like if you're not doing that, then no, your answer is no. Like it won't matter. Get the people on board. If you're talking NFTs, you better have the hottest NFT out there. You better have an NFT marketplace that's booming. I know NFTs really aren't a thing now, but that's another example. If you're going to focus on gaming, you better have a badass game that everyone's playing. Because if you just come out and be like, we're focusing on gaming. Okay, is anybody playing your games? If you focus on whatever's trending, it doesn't matter.
So you're still bullish on Gala?
Gala's up a little bit today. Yeah. And here's the thing. Gala is focused on gaming, and there's a lack of gaming projects, though. So that's kind of my interest in Gala is off of the fact that there's a lack of known gaming chains out there, right? You have Sandbox, Decentraland, Gala in the top 100. That's kind of it for 100% focused gaming. Now you have Avalanche, and you have what else? What else am I forgetting here in the top 100
for gaming?
Yeah.
Some people say IMX is gaming, but I don't even know if that's in the top 100. Saw Tony Rosas said everything's up on AVAX, but the price. Be patient, my friends. You take a look in here. Let me just pull up a quick chart on XLM. You take a look at what XLM went through before it just had to just crush the chart. This is
XLM was a snooze fest. Like there was so many people that were just wrote it off. But remember earlier when we were talking about like projects, like, hey, you better have headlines and be making some kind of news. This was nonstop partnerships, nonstop United States government and United States industry, like use case and utility through RWAs. And so
this was a 220-day snooze fest.
We talked about Stellar for so long. We're like, hey, man, like the RWAs are cooking there. The United States government's using it. The banks are getting behind it. Institutions are adopting it. Like there was so much good narratives behind it. We're just like, the price isn't moving. Like eventually it's going to break out. That's what I'm saying. Like if your price is going down to the right, you better have a lot cooking back there with partnerships, headlines, utility. That ecosystem better be blowing up.
Better be better.
Better be blowing up, baby.
All right, and then one more near protocol. I'll tell you, this is one of my most disappointing altcoins. Token season is near. It's coming in the coming months. 12 top tier projects will be launching or listing a token in the near ecosystem. No idea what any of these projects are, do you? Seriously, I have no idea. Man, Near.
You know what I think Near missed?
Near the AI move, dude. The AI agent.
No, they
missed it by a mile.
Well, they focused on AI, but you know what I think they missed? They missed stable coins and DeFi. Now, I'm not saying it's not there. I'm not saying it doesn't exist at all, but have you ever heard of somebody using the Near protocol, the Near network, to move money? And I think that, like,
to be fair though, there's a handful of projects I can say I've heard: Solana, Ethereum, XRP.
I mean, you got XRP, Solana, ETH, BNB, Tron. Cardano's the outlier. They're not in that category. But, you know, Solana does have a giant, I mean, Cardano has a giant community. You know, Stellar, you know, you're moving money there. To a lesser degree, Hedera and Avalanche has stablecoin movement. And so that's, in my opinion, I think that's where they missed the mark, because Near used to be in the top 20, man. The Near was up there, dude. Now it's outside the top 30. It's not looking good, dude.
So are you buying the Near dip?
Not at all. Not at all. I'm not touching it. And I'm not saying I'm writing it off. I'm not calling it a dead chain. But something needs to reverse, man. They need a shot of adrenaline and something, because that thing it's not trending in the right direction. Like, it's in the similar category as ICP, but ICP was never at the height of Near. You know, it's ICP's down. We're kind of anticipating a breakout. I hope users start onboarding ICP. However, ICP is still performing well compared to Near. Near was up in, what was it, like top 12 at one point?
I don't know if I got top 12, but it was definitely top 20.
Yeah, and it was performing very well. I mean, you look at its all-time high. It's most of these projects have gotten somewhat close to their previous all-time highs back in January and back in that March run that we had last year. And it got to $7, and it's nowhere near its $20 level that it briefly touched in 2022. So I don't know, not looking good.
Yeah, I'm a punt on Near, buying the dip too. But all right, that'll do it for the show today. Big thank you to all of you watching. Big thanks to the mods. Excited to be back. Make sure you stay in the chat, because you'll be automatically redirected to Sistine Trading. We got our man, CVO, man of the show there today. And so make sure you drop an all-out when you get in there. And with that being said, Gina, thank you all so much for tuning in. Appreciate every single one of you. Don't be stupid and sell into the dips. Buy the dips of the projects that are going to make you money. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace.
Sin City Crypto. Everybody know what we here for. Entertainment and info. Gonna show you how to get that big dough. So every day stay tapped in. For big facts, no capping. With Bitcoin, if you're in, then you win. We divide the pie with no fraction. It's Big Rob, David. I spit the game, but they gave it. Named according to your favorite. I got dry powder, why save it? To the OGs, new beginners. Special shout out to the well members. Buy the dip, sell winners. Ain't really nothing you can tell sinners. Tune in for the latest new flavors. They gonna teach us mean coins. They polarizing like barbecue chicken pizzas. I laugh with a major grin. Laggers, we trade them in. Baddies, they came to sin. And sinners gon' play to win. Screaming hola, till my bags are flowing over. Hold ya to the moon and to the solar. Won't I? Don't be letting FOMO control ya. It's over when the finger turn